Was the Super Bowl scripted? Are the Kansas City Chiefs really that good?
Manning lobs it, Burns alone, touchdown New York!
Swung on a miss, strike three, Johan Santana has pitched a no-hitter!
Anthony's going to try and get one more shot off the half court at the buzzer. Oh, he puts it in! Mark Messier, do you believe it? Do you believe it?
Welcome back to TCAM Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Traceball. A lot of things have happened in sports. Obviously, the NFL playoffs, big time. NBA, we saw the in-season tournament. It was last that I talked about it. And obviously, Hunter and I both thought it was crazy. I moved to YouTube, doing TikTok videos. Follow the page TCAM Sports Podcast on TikTok. But today, we're going to talk about a little bit about the NFL playoffs. I want to talk about the Super Bowl, surprises in the playoffs. Let's jump right into it. So the NFL playoffs was wild, right? There was a lot of different teams that got into the next round that was unexpected. Obviously, the Browns and the Texans were the first NFL playoff hosted, and the Texans won 45-14. We all thought Joe Flacco, the comeback man, right? Guy who's been around the league forever, won the Super Bowl with the Ravens, and then he went to the Jets and went to Denver. And his career hasn't really panned out since he left the Ravens, then to now join the Browns as his final season, and really carried this team. An 11-5 record, they were a beast. Goes in this playoff game versus rookie C.J. Stroud and pretty much gets mopped off the field, and it's kind of embarrassing. However, Joe Flacco didn't play a bad game, 307 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. C.J. Stroud, just better, man. Rookie team, had a lot of hype, and people underestimated him, and C.J. Stroud showed him. Then we have the Dolphins and the Chiefs. What a crazy game this was. Tyreek Hill talking all that noise. When I get back to Arrowhead, we're going to be winning the game. Yeah, they won themselves out of the playoffs. Lost 26-7 to the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously. We thought that it would be a more competitive game, however. Miami can't win against big games. They couldn't do it all year, so wasn't really surprised. Then Sunday, January 14th, crazy day for football. The number two seeded Dallas Cowboys faced off against the Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love and Green Bay barely made it in. Nobody thought they'd win this game. Well, they didn't just win. They were dominating the game. 48-16 scoreline at one point. Absolutely insane. Jordan Love, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dak Prescott, why he threw for 400 yards. He had 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns. Their defense gave up so many points. Dak made mistakes early on. The Cowboys were a disappointment. Pretty much ran out of their own stadium and got laughed at while they were at it. So that was shocking to see. And we'll get more into Green Bay here in just a minute. But Cowboys, disappointing season. And they typically do it every single year. So I don't know what else to say about them. I don't know if they'll ever win a Super Bowl in the next couple years. Or, we want to say the next couple years, right? The Dallas Cowboys should be contenders, but every time they get a good season and they look like they're going to be unstoppable going into the playoffs, they fail. So I don't know when the Dallas Cowboys can win a championship. Maybe next year, maybe not. Maybe they'll get back, but I'm not leaving out any hope for the Cowboys. The Rams and the Lions was the Sunday night game. We had a thriller. Jared Goff going up against his old team. Matt Stafford going up against his old team. The former champs facing off against Detroit. This was a storyline game right here. Detroit dominated early. Then Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, who was the best offensive rookie of the year. I mean, he was 9 receptions, 181 yards this game. Stafford had a great season. Good comeback season for him. Played very well. Jared Goff and Detroit really showed up and showed out this season. Thriller game, 24-23 ending. Fun game to watch. Then we had the Monday game. We had the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Bills. Mason Rudolph. Steelers weren't never going to win that game as much as I wanted to. They had a couple chances to maybe tie up the game, but Bills, I think, were guaranteed to win that game. And then the Eagles and the Bucks. The Eagles defense, an absolute disaster. 12 missed tackles. Tampa Bay rolled them over, and Tampa Bay stopped the tush-push, the unbreakable play, the last time they get to run it. And so Baker Mayfield dominated. Baker Mayfield going to get his bag. He's looking good right now. But Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, they fell apart late in the season, and it was disappointing to see them get beat that bad in the wildcard round. Divisional round, Ravens, Texans, 49ers, Packers, Lions, Bucks, and Chiefs, Bills. Start off with the Ravens and the Texans. The Texans are a good young football team. However, the Ravens defense, far too superior. Lamar Jackson, 100 yards rushing and 150 yards passing. Overall, they dominated the game. Everybody knew that the Ravens were going to win that game. The Packers and the 49ers. Packers about won that game. Missed a kick. They had a chance to win. Jordan Love, not his greatest performance with 2 interceptions, but he showed up and showed out when they needed him. He was there and almost took them to a conference championship with underneath this new team. You know, it's crazy. The Packers can finally, they always find themselves a quarterback. Right, they go from Brett Favre, who was super talented, won them a Super Bowl. They let Brett Favre out, let him go. They get Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers wins them a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers dominates a decade with them, has 4 or 5 MVPs, is a thriller of a quarterback, and then they get Jordan Love. Everybody's like, why would you get Jordan Love with Aaron Rodgers? Some reason the Packers just know how to draft a quarterback, and it's absolutely insane. Jordan Love is going to be great here in the next 2 years. He's going to be that young Aaron Rodgers we all remembered. So it amazes me how well the Packers can draft quarterbacks. Everybody harps on them not knowing what they're doing when they're drafting a quarterback, but they already have an ultra-talented quarterback, and they still find success. So Green Bay, great season. They should be happy about how it ended. Lions and Bucks on the Sunday, January 21st. Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, 2 guys who had big question marks. We didn't know whether they were going to shine out for this game. We didn't know who was going to get the better of each other. I will give credit. Baker Mayfield did throw 2 picks in the game, and I know that it was not his finest moment, but he did throw 350 yards. Baker Mayfield played a heck of a game, and it just started off rough for them in the early. They could have gotten better throughout the game, and they just couldn't finish the game out. But Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, earned himself a bag. I think that Tampa Bay is a future team going forward. I think they found their quarterback. With the Lions, take care of business. The mentality, the home advantage, being in Detroit, it all rolled on their shoulders. This young team, they're going to keep rolling and keep pushing through. So it was nice to see them win that divisional game. Then the matchup that everybody calls the greatest matchup in the playoffs is right between the Chiefs and the Bills. That's what everybody says. This is the best rival matchup in the playoffs. Well, if it's the best rival matchup, the other team has to win. The Chiefs can't win every single game until we call it a rival matchup. It's not thrilling. That's not a rival matchup. The Bengals and the Chiefs are a rival matchup. If we're going to talk about any type of team being a rival matchup, it's the Bengals and the Chiefs. You know why? Because Joe Burrow beat him in the AFC Championship game and went to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes beat him last year in the AFC Championship game and went to the Super Bowl. So the Bengals and the Chiefs, and I'm going to say right now, that's the rival matchup everybody wants to see when it comes down to it. No disrespect to Josh Allen and the Bills. Josh Allen played a great game, had 2 rushing touchdowns. He did every single thing in this game to get them to win. But they just can't get over the hump. And I know their defense was weak. I know it wasn't all that great. But Josh Allen had the home field advantage. He had everything in his favor, really, outside of the defense. And had a potential chance to win it, and they just couldn't get it done. To me, that's no rival matchup. It's a great matchup, there's no doubt. Love seeing Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen go at each other. But it's not the premium matchup we want to see. The premium matchup is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes. Kind of like Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. So that's how I look at it. But that's a story for another day. Kansas City wins 27-24 heading into the conference championship. Conference championship time. These were some pretty great games. There were some great matchups. A little bit disappointing from one specific team. We'll start out with the AFC Championship game. Chiefs win 17-10. Baltimore at home. Baltimore with the best record. Baltimore is highly favored. Lamar Jackson's the MVP of the league. And I mean, you talk about a collapse. You talk about a collapse by this team. The defense The defense for the Baltimore Ravens for 3 quarters played incredible. The offense was not very good. So when you look at it from team stats wise, the Baltimore Ravens were the number 1 rushing team in the entire country. They only rushed 16 attempts the entire game. They averaged almost 30 every single game. They averaged 31 in the Texans game. They only ran it the ball 16 times. They had less rushing yards than the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are not a rushing team. In passing, they threw about as much as the Kansas City Chiefs did. Patrick Mahomes threw 39 times. Lamar Jackson threw 37 times. They had more passing yards. But their penalties, they caused 95 total yards of penalties. They had 3 turnovers. They had 2 fumbles. And Lamar Jackson threw an interception. So the Kansas City Chiefs didn't score one single point, if I'm correct, in the second half. They didn't score one single point in the second half of this football game. The Baltimore Ravens only scored a touchdown in the first quarter and a field goal in the fourth. They were the better team, but Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Just gets in the way. Disappointed in the Baltimore Ravens. There's no doubt about it. A lot of disappointment. Everybody would say the same thing about the NFC Championship game. The Lions come into San Francisco. San Francisco's the best team in the NFC. The Lions come in. They score 14 points in the first quarter. They score 10 points in the second quarter. The 49ers only scored 7 points the whole first half. Then the 49ers scored 17 points in the third quarter. The Lions didn't score anything. And in the fourth quarter, they scored 10. The Lions only scored 7 to lose the game 34-31. The Lions had definitely a chance to make the Super Bowl. They let a couple moments and let themselves collapse, really. Brock Purdy, if you let this team stay around too long, that's what's going to happen. These great teams, they recover, and they're going to come out and show that potential, show that superstar talent they have. If anybody can think back a couple years to, I think it was the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs, you remember when Deshaun Watson went up 24-0 on Kansas City, and in one quarter, it was 28-24 Kansas City. If you let the good teams hang around, you let the super talented teams that believe they're going to win, no matter the cause, hang around, then they're eventually going to get back into the game and win it. Like I said, there were a couple collapses by the Lions, a couple mistakes that they made that could have been avoided. But for them to make it to this far, by the way, farther than the Cowboys have in 25 years, the Cowboys have been 10 times better than them almost in every season. To make it this far, they should be proud of themselves. They're going to be a dominant team in the NFC. This was their first NFC Championship game since 91, if I believe. So to have that mentality and, to go in there with no experience on the roster outside of Jared Goff, nobody else really has any experience, and for them to almost beat the 49ers in the 49ers Stadium is a crazy game. Then we got the script, right? Everybody wants to talk about the script. The Super Bowl. San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs won the championship last year against the Eagles. The Chiefs have dominated the Super Bowl and been in there the last 4 out of 6 years. The only 2 people to stop Mahomes from making the Super Bowl. One was Tom Brady, and Tom Brady beat him in one of the 4 Super Bowls he's been in. And Joe Burrow. So this game was wild. Went to overtime. Kansas City dominating. It looked like the 49ers were going to take control of this game completely and win it. But they let the Chiefs hang around. It's 10-3 going into halftime. Kyle Shanahan, realistically, had a 10-point lead on these guys early on in the game, and he lost. The guy's always getting double-digit leads on teams, and he loses in the Super Bowl. Did it against the Patriots, did it against Kansas City last time, and potentially had the same thing going on here, but he just dropped the ball, which was sad. I mean, Kansas City, is it the script? Does the NFL want Kansas City to win? Why can nobody else win? Do the 49ers just have bad luck in Super Bowls since they have lost the last 3 Super Bowls that they've been in? They've been to 7 NFC Championship games in the last 10 years. They've been to 3 Super Bowls, and they've lost twice to the Kansas City Chiefs and once to the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know. This is a really compelling story, and I think it's sad for 49ers fans because they got a super talented team. They got the best team, hands down, on offense and defense. Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs. I'd have loved to see him win the Super Bowl. I know I say don't go away from dynasty. Don't turn away from greatness. Don't turn away from a dynasty. You should cheer on greatness, but it would have been nice to see a new kid on the block, at least for those guys, because I know how much those guys wanted to win. George Kittle, from years ago being in the Super Bowl, talked about how he was going to be back and they were going to come back with vengeance. Deebo Samuel's been through it. Fred Warner, you have a super talented defense. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Hufanga. Greenlaw tore his Achilles during the game. They have wanted it more than anything to win, and for them to come up short again hurts. It's sad. That is a little bit of NFL talk today. Just want to talk a little bit about NFL, and the next episode we're going to start jumping into a little bit of hockey and baseball. That's coming up. Basketball is in a prime All-Star week, so everybody wants to start talking about basketball and hearing what everybody's got to say. Tiger Woods is now coming back to the PGA Tour. He's finally a little bit more healthy. Should be back soon and get back to winning, hopefully. That's what we want to see. A lot of stuff to talk about. Anyway, just wanted to cover up the NFL playoffs, and I'll see you guys next time.